All right, good morning, traders. Today is April 29th, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Appreciate that. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for your following. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for finding the value in my content. I hope to find and provide actionable trades every day. Try to provide valuable content every single day. All right. Thank you so much for following me and keeping up with what's going on. All right. So let's start this off. My SPY pivot this morning, 549. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY, QQQ, FNGA. No. Have I got the wrong one? Okay, SPY, QQQ, FNGA are all in daily uptrends. QQQ, IWM, Diamond Dow, and SPY. Okay, so everybody but FNGA made higher lows and higher highs, closing over bullish traps over their flat 17 EMAs. FNGA almost did the same thing, made an outside day, that's a higher high and a lower low, closing over the bullish trap over the 17 EMA. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute uptrend. Gold still in a daily uptrend, made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Silver still in a downtrend, but not moving down, let me just say that. Made a higher high and a higher low, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. USO in a downtrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish cross below the 17 EMA. UNG also in a daily downtrend, no surprise there. Made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bearish trap under the falling 17. US dollar index still in a downtrend, we like that. Closed near 99.06 area, SPY Max Pain. For today, that's the puts and calls that expire today. SPY Max Pain is 541 with a put to call ratio of about 1.5 puts to each call that expire today at 415. All right. So let's go ahead and somebody in the room help me by notifying the pivot should be 469.80. All right, let me take a peek at that. All right, let's get this out of the way. Let's go take a look at QQQ and game plan. And let's zoom in here on the 10-minute. 469.80. Yes. 469.80. Thank you, Chip, for bringing that to my attention. All right, let's go back and look at SPY. All right, so what did we have yesterday for SPY? We had a beautiful 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. See price? See when price breaks away from VWAP right there? That's opportunity. All of that's opportunity. So we had a 10-minute downtrend under VWAP, okay? We had a red erases green event right here on this, right here on this candle right there, okay? This would be the rubber band candle. After the rubber band candle snaps, so you got the big spike candle, and then you got one free floating one. See how it's not attached to the point of interest, which would be VWAP. That's the brown line. Okay, so it's not attached. So you can see when we break through that rubber band candle, all right, the energy of re-snapping, all right, the rubber, the energy in the rubber price back to VWAP is broken, and you can see you get a flush to the downside, all right? So we traded a 10-minute downtrend under VWAP, right? 10-minute, all right? You see the 3 is underneath the 8, okay? All 3, price, the 3, the 8, all underneath the falling 17. And you can see the 17 is peeling away from VWAP. So we traded this 10-minute downtrend into the lows down here. Okay, then we had a 10-minute uptrend. All right, coming back up to the highs. Okay, now again, I waited for the snap of the rubber band candle. Okay, notice this is the big spike candle. Okay, the free floating candle after, all right, the spike candle, the big spike candle, that will be your rubber band candle. So this one was the rubber band. It's the free floating one after the big spike candle. So here's the spike. There's the free floating candle. Below that,
Order
the
filled.
energy in the rubber band is broken, and you get a flush to the downside. Same thing on the north side, all right? This is the free floating candle after the spike candle on the point of interest, which is VWAP, all right? And then the energy in the rubber band is broken. That would recall price back to VWAP, and then you get a big push to the upside. That was a nice tradable event right there. So we had 10-minute downtrend under VWAP and a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP yesterday. Okay, price made big spinning top, mostly the body of that spinning top quite near the top, more so than toward the middle where it's normally located. All right, so let's take a look at what we got right now. We left off yesterday with, so you can see price action here, candles, and the 3 EMA up over the white 8 EMA. Okay, so we left off with a 10-minute uptrend going into the close on the 2-hour chart. It's a little busy. On 2-hour chart, you can see price candles and the 3 EMA up over the white 8 EMA right there. We left off with a continuation starting on 22nd. Continuation of the 2-hour uptrend going into the close yesterday. Okay, on the daily chart, all right, we had a higher low and a higher high, all right, recovering all of this. Obviously, there's bulls in town. Anytime I see wicks or tails, all right, these tails kind of show me where the buyers are at, all right, and the wicks kind of show me where the sellers are at. Okay, so here you can see we got some nice big tail there from yesterday. Nice tail. All right, so there's the daily chart. Higher low, higher high. Notice we're closing over a bullish trap. That's the 3 EMA, all right, on top of the 8 EMA. See the space in between? That makes it a bullish trap. Okay, so we closed over the bullish trap, over the flat 17. Okay, that's these red dots that go from red, all right, and now they're changing to green, all right. Now we've had this before, all right, and it didn't work out so well for the coyote, but we'll see what happens this time. Okay, we have a downtrend that's being challenged and broken at this time. Let's see if we can draw that in from there down to there. You can see there is the challenge candle right there, or the rubber band candle, and you can see here was the energy coming back. Notice we didn't make it all the way back, but we are trying to break this downtrend, and it's very possible that it moves out to the side but continues later on from a location out here. We'll see what happens. All right, so there's SPY. Let's take a look at this on the quad lines. Okay, you can see price action here back at the midpoint. Okay, price action moves up and gives it up. That's neutral. It's the same thing on the southern side. You move down, you give it up. That's neutral. Okay, pink lines, all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so we're trying to stay above that. Okay, so that's 2 days in a row, closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a nice to be seen. Haven't seen that in a long time. Well, actually about a month and a half, 2 months, really. If you take it back to the 18th, right there, we haven't closed over the all-time high anchored VWAP for about 2 months now. All right, so we'll see what happens. All right, so there's SPY on the daily chart. You can see price breaking the downtrend line. All right, staying above the uptrend line, over the trap, over the flat 17, over the midpoint, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. It's looking good, but guess what? We're just neutral, all right? Up here in the upper third, that's going to be bullish. Down here in the lower third, that's going to be bearish. Just neutral through there. Let's take a look at the game plan. And, excuse me, we'll zoom in here. Okay, so SPY pivot this morning, 549. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. We've got red takes out green, all right? Red erases green below the pivot. 10-minute downtrend under the pivot here, where we have price gets below 546.90, all right? That is my red erases green location, all right? So we'd look for that to break through there. Red erases green below 546.90. Green erases red, okay? See that wick up there? Well, I'd want to get up above that wick. Show me that they've defeated the sellers up there. All right, but I'd be real careful about getting up there, okay? We'll see what happens. I like the fact that we're holding the higher ground. That's bullish. Okay, so price action, 10-minute uptrend over the pivot, okay, 549. All right, where green erases red, that's my first price entry. Not saying you can't take a 10-minute uptrend before that. I'm just saying that's where the green erases the red starts. Okay, so first entry over 520, 552.20 right there. All right, so what kind of options do I like to trade? All right, what trades do we want? So let's move this over, take this down, move that up, kind of close this. Open this up just a little bit. All right, okay, so I like 3 days till expiration Friday options or 10 days till expiration Friday options. Also like 17 days till expiration Friday options. I just didn't put that in there. Okay? You want the highest performing option or the best performing option. It's always going to be your 0 days till expiration, meaning that's going to expire today at 4:15. All right? And it's going to be in the money. All right? So if price is at 551, in the money would be 549, 545, something around there, okay? At the money is going to be pretty much 551, okay? Remember, price is going to move in and out of the money sometimes, all right? So anyways, I like $5 to $20 out of the money because I got a small account and I want to build it up. So I want to take on, I don't quite want the best performance because along with performance comes volatility. So I prefer to pare it back and go out of the money. In other words, take on a little less risk and sacrifice a little performance. Therefore, I like $5 to $20 out of the money. All right, so how I plan to trade SPY? Well, I'm going to look for price action to consolidate up here, which we are, near the highs. All right, what am I expecting? I'm expecting another probably challenge of this low later today. All right, another challenge either to the low side and the high side. I'd like to see it consolidate. All right, after the consolidation, I'm really expecting a breakout to the upside. We'll see what happens because we are having some bullish environment. I'm picking up on clues that are bullish environment. So, like, for instance, we've got holding the higher ground up here after recovering from yesterday's dip. All right, it was a buy the dip crowd came in and rescued the price action, and you can see for the most part we've been consolidating up here in the upper third or in the upper half. So that's still looking good. All right, now if we get 2 or 3 days, all right, where we linger up here, okay, eventually they're going to wear out supply overhead and hopefully create more consolidation over prior consolidation. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, all right? Little wear them down and then consolidate over prior consolidation. That would be a bullish environment. So that's what I'm looking for to happen today. All right, maybe a little challenge of these lows, but all in all, I like to see them hold the higher ground. All right, that's what I'm looking for. So again, more consolidation. That's what I can see right now. Okay, it's going to take a while. All right, we've got a lot of work over here on the left side. Let's take a look at the 3-bar chart. Okay, so I want you to see all this. See all of this right here? This is a 3-bar chart. Okay, that's about 3 weeks of consolidation, really just moving back and forth in a range. all right, from, actually it's about a month, right there, from like March 1st, in a range from, well, you can see right here, 577 and 550. All right, so about $25 range right there. Okay, so we're coming up to the bottom of this minor resistance right now. The top of it's going to be major resistance. Okay, it's going to take us a while to grind through about 3 months of, 1 month of supply right there. It's not going to happen in one 3-bar candle. Okay, it's going to take a little while. So I'm picturing more consolidation, hopefully near the highs. All right, then I'd like to see them kind of wind up and shoot through and start consolidating over prior consolidation. We'll see what happens. But that's what I'd like to see happen. All right. The other scenario, okay, remember we are challenging that downtrend line. Okay, this is the downtrend line right here. All right, notice we didn't make a higher high yesterday. Okay, didn't make a higher high. So that would have been, we made a higher high at the beginning of the day, but on the recovery process, we didn't shoot off to make a higher high. Okay, so we made a higher high at the beginning of the day. I take that back. But when the bulls came back and rescued it, they still failed to make the higher high. All right, so probably going to consolidate here. We're out supply, hopefully, and then eventually melt up just a little bit. That's what I'm looking for to happen. All right, but we get below this, you have a red erases green event. Okay, below that V bottom right there, that will be a red erases green event down there. Okay, so I'm picturing price to consolidate up here. If not, we get below this pivot, then we got a red erases green event, and look for price to come back to the downtrend line right here. Challenge the backside of the downtrend line if we get below the V bottom from yesterday. Okay, so there's SPY on a 15-minute chart. All right, we already went through the game plan. All right, let's talk about the daily chart one more time. And let's take a look at it over here. Okay, so price has made, back this out just a little bit more. Okay, move this over. Okay, so here's a high that's over the 17. Here's a high also over the 17, okay? But this is the lower high. So price made a higher high. So that puts it into an uptrend, all right? Because we made a higher high. See, there's a high over the 17. We made a higher high. So that puts it into an uptrend, okay? Doesn't mean necessarily it's going to go straight up, all right? It's probably going to have to put in a floor of foundation consolidation and then eventually melt up a little bit. All right, so there's SPY on the daily chart. Okay, so you can see price action in a daily uptrend, all right? But still now just challenging breaking that downtrend line. That's just the daily chart, okay? On the 2-day chart, okay, we have to break, we don't have a high. We have to come all the way up to the top on the 2-day chart in order to negate the 2-day downtrend. So on the 2-day, we're still in a downtrend. On the 3-day, still in a downtrend. On the weekly, yep, still in a downtrend. On the monthly, all right, we haven't even started a downtrend, okay? We're still in the uptrend. We happen to be in a pullback, all right? Look at that size of that tail, all right? All right, anyways, there's a pullback in an uptrend, all right? So price could recover all the way back up to these highs and shoot up higher. We'll see what happens. So there's the monthly chart, okay? Monthly chart's still in an uptrend, just not moving up, all right? It is in the past month, all right? It's a nice recovery there, all right? So there's SPY on the monthly. All right, let's go take a look at QQQ, all right? QQQ monthly, same deal, all right? On the daily, all right? There's the high over the 17. There's the higher high. That's an uptrend. Okay, so yesterday's candle, okay, on the daily chart. Back over here. Okay, yesterday's candle, just like SPY, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. over the flat 17, over the midpoint, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, okay, breaking the downtrend line right there. Okay, see, breaking the downtrend line. All right, and up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, so that's what we got so far, QQQ. In an uptrend, okay, no longer in the lower third. That would be an area right down here, okay, below this line. That would be the lower third, okay, not in the upper third. That would be, have to get up here, all right, to be in the upper third, up here. All right, so they're in the middle ground, so they're just neutral. All right, you go up, you give it up, that's neutral. You go down, you give it up, that's neutral. Okay, so go up, give it up, neutral. Go down, give it up, same thing, neutral. All right, if they go up here, then they'll be bullish. They get down here, they'll be bearish. Right here, they're just neutral. Okay, the nice thing is they're up over all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a bullish environment whenever you see that. Okay, whenever you see price move up and hold the higher ground, that is a bullish environment. Whenever you see bullish gaps that aren't filled by the bears, that is a bullish environment. All right, consolidation over prior consolidation, that is also a bullish environment. Okay, so we're getting all of that right now, a bullish environment. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards the bulls until I see momentum change right now. So there's QQQ in a daily uptrend. We'll see how far it gets. All right. Last time we had a relief rally. Okay, it didn't last long. All right. It got capped off right there by the all-time high anchored VWAP. Something a little bit different this time. We're all the way up through all-time high anchored VWAP. So maybe this one might be different. We'll see. All right. So there's QQQ. Let's take a look at, let me get this off of here. I don't want that to confuse me next time. All right, let's take a look at FNGA. All right, FNGA. Okay, no longer in the lower third. Okay, that's down here below. See that? Below the white line there. Okay, no longer in the lower third. See, that was bearish. Okay, price action makes an outside day. Okay, it's a higher high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Okay, not in the lower third, so it's neutral. Okay, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, so still a lot of work to be done. Okay, there's the high over the 17. They made a higher high, so they're in an uptrend. Okay, in an uptrend right now. Okay, breaking out of the bearish zone down here in the lower third. That's FNGA. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow still in a downtrend. Has to break this high right here. Okay, still in a downtrend. Actually, let's see. They got a high right here. It's kind of a weak one. 403.75, 404. So I guess technically they're in an uptrend. They broke this high. I was thinking of this one. Didn't see that wick up there. They broke that high, so now in an uptrend, making a higher low and a higher high. Okay, so that puts them into an uptrend. It's kind of a weak valley there, if you ask me, but it is what it is. All right, so Diamond Dow still underneath the downtrend line right here. All right, we'll see what happens. Yesterday, higher low, higher high, closing underneath over the bullish trap, over the flat 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line. Okay, that's a moving average. Okay, underneath the downtrend line, underneath the midpoint, no longer in the lower third, so that's just neutral on Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at IWM. Okay, still in the lower third. All right, so that's bearish. Okay, higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap. See the 3 on top of the 8. So they closed above it. See the body closed above it. Over the flat 17. See the red dots turning into green dots. Okay, but under, this is the all-time high anchored VWAP right here, this top pink line, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the midpoint, under, still in the lower third, all right? So in order to get an uptrend going for IWM, they got to take out, see this high over the 17? They got to take out that high right there. All right, so they got to take out that high. So they got a little ways to go. All right, IWM. So they're still technically in a downtrend. Guess what? They're just not moving down. All right, so it's kind of a bear flag. That's what they're putting in, is a bear flag. All right, still in the bearish zone because they're down in the lower third. All right, let's take a look at our technicals. T2122. Look at what we got here. All right, little chomping around inside, consolidating up here inside the buy and the overbought zone. So just ripping back and forth, hanging out here for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. That is a bullish environment right there. Okay, 4 days hanging out up here. 5 days is a magic number for me. But you can see 22, 23, 24, 25, and 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 days. We could get a breakout today. We'll see what happens. All right, so there's T2122. Like that, okay? T2123, okay? Really, I'm looking at a bear flag, a little mini bull flag inside of a giant bear flag. Okay, so if I look at this objectively, all right, you've got a little bull flag right there, and then it goes all the way across. Okay, so that's a little bull flag. All right, now we're going to take that off inside of a bear flag. All right, and you can see price comes from this location here, finishes down here, and then moves to the right. Okay, so that's a big bear flag. All right, so we've got a little mini bull flag inside of the bear flag. Okay, I want to see him take out this high, something of significance. What we are looking at on the smaller time frame, okay, we have price over kind of a hooking 200 SMA right there. See, it's starting to hook, all right. We've got price making some higher highs, okay. We've got bullish gaps that aren't getting filled. That's a bullish environment. We've got consolidation over prior consolidation, okay. Also a bullish environment, okay. Let me just plot that out. Okay, we've got consolidation, okay, over prior consolidation. Okay, those are bullish environments. All right, all of that over the 200. That is a bullish environment. Bullish gaps that aren't getting filled. See that? That is a bullish environment as well. Okay, that's T2123. Okay, but we back out. It's just a 15-minute. We are making some higher highs here. Okay, but I want to make something of significance. Okay, I want to take out that high right there. Okay, this is nice. Okay, we're waking up from that catatonic state. Look like we're flatline there, cardiac arrest right there. Okay, but we haven't taken out this high right here. This is nice. It's working. It's a bullish environment, but that bar's pretty low right there. Okay, you want to do something of significance, take out that high right there. Okay, so let's just face it, we're not there yet. All right, but we are acting bullish. All right, so there's T2123. All right, same chart, only the 3-bar. All right, again, you can see here's a V bottom. All right, notice no V bottom over here. Flat line. All right, you linger too long, and investors and funds, guess what happens? They don't see a recovery happening, so they bail. All right, selling begets more selling, and you get a flush to the downside. Okay, so again, we're lingering kind of long here. All right, okay, stay down here too long. Don't make any significant higher highs. And what happens? We could see another flush. All right, so just be careful. All right, notice the color change. Here we had green, changes to red. All right, and now we're getting red changing to green. Okay, it's nice, but we want to see some significant highs getting taken out. So far, it's not happening. On the smaller time frame, yes, it's happening. On the bigger time frame, we're not there yet. All right, so there's T2123. All right, it's working. All right, but all in all, that's still a bear flag. Underneath the 200 SMA right there, let's take a look at FNGA, okay? Underneath two prior all-time highs and the all-time high way up here. So long ways off. A lot of distance between 200 and price action right now. Okay, let's take a look at FNGA. Nice work on the FNGA. Okay, they came out yesterday morning, started selling, and then it looked like they forgot to get the memo. Then they said, hey guys, didn't you get the memo? And then they started to buy it all back up. Everything they started to sell off, they just started to accumulate again. All right, so kind of crazy, huh? FNGA. So we went down and went right back up. All right, so big V bottom there. See, down and then up. See that red? And then somebody handed them the memo, or maybe the mail got finally delivered, and they bought it all right back up. So there's FNGA. And I'm telling you, it's the same cats that are selling it are the same cats that are buying it right back up. Okay? Okay, they don't make any money unless they move price around. Okay? Because otherwise you just jump in on the line and ride it up. Okay? They make money by whipping it around, up, down, kind of moving it around like zigzag. Remember when you went to war, they tell you like serpentine, you move back and forth so you don't get hit, right? Okay, it's the same thing, all right? They move price around, all right, to trick you. Otherwise, it'd just be a straight line. They don't have that, okay? So that's why we use moving averages, because that makes everything more clear. That's the straight line that we're looking for. So there's FNGA up over 15-minute chart, the 200 SMA on the 15-minute chart. That's bullish environment. You can see we have some bullish gaps that aren't getting filled. That's a bullish environment. Another bullish gap not getting filled. Another bullish gap. We're getting consolidation, kind of over consolidation. That's a bullish environment. Again, we're going to play it till it ends. All right, so we have consolidation right there. Wow, that's a big one. Didn't want that. All right. Okay, something like that. All right, and then we're getting consolidation over consolidation. All right, that's a bullish environment. We're making, see the high? We're making higher highs. See the low? We're making higher lows. Okay, we're up over the 200. That's why I'm leaning bullish. Okay, we're bullish till we're not. All right, till they break the trend. Okay, we're coming up here to challenge the all-time high anchored VWAP. So there's FNGA. All right, let's look at a few sectors real quick. Then we hit the economic package, and then I want to give some other people some time to talk. All right, so back over here. Okay, right here. All right, let's take a look at XLE. I'm going to run through them fast. Higher low, higher high. No longer in the lower third, just neutral. Okay, over the trap, over the 17, just neutral right there. That is a bear flag. Okay, that's capable of moving further south unless they recover 50% of this. And they're looking close. Okay, XLE. Okay, USO. Okay, USO still in a downtrend. USO still in the lower third. That's still bearish. All right, still bearish on USO. Still in the lower third. UNG. Okay, lower high, lower low. Still in a downtrend. Okay, I'll give it to them today. They were in the lower third, so they're just neutral today. All right, just neutral. UNG. Okay, gold. Uptrend. Higher low, higher high. Quadrant 4, that's bullish. Closing over the trap. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, gold, bullish. Up in quadrant 4. Silver. Okay, still in a downtrend. They got to take out this high. Okay, they haven't made a higher high. All right, so silver. This is it's in a downtrend, but not moving down. Okay, so maybe they come all the way back up, take out the high. Okay, silver in a downtrend, but not moving down. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish over the all-time, over the 12-year high anchored VWAP and the 6-month high anchored VWAP. Okay, it's bullish up there. Still in a downtrend. Remember, it's just a label. All right, let's take a look at SMH. Things turning around for SMH. No longer in the lower third. Okay, so neutral through here. SMH, neutral. Okay, and SMH, did they get a higher high? High there is 213.29. High there is 212. Uptrend, neutral right there for SMH. Big Brother XLK. Okay, higher low, higher high. That's uptrend, neutral. Okay, like to see 5 days over this all-time high anchored VWAP. XLK, XLF. All right. Higher low, higher high. That's uptrend right there. Almost knocking on the door of the upper third. Okay, still neutral. They can get up there and consolidate. Got 4 days. Could see a breakout today. All right, or tomorrow. We'll see. XLF neutral. Leaning toward bullish right there. I like that. XLF. IYT. IYT still downtrend, still bearish. Okay, so it's not happening.
Order
yet.
filled.
Okay, so it could be still premature for a decent rally. All right, or we could get a rally that fails again, just like the relief rally failed last time. Okay, so we'll see what happens. All right, notice transports aren't really on our side yet. All right, XLF is okay. SMH just barely. All right, I mean they just barely crossed the threshold and jumped through the neutral door. All right, just barely. We'll see what happens. Okay, notice there's still some space between the all-time high anchored VWAP and the price. Can they recover it? Well, you can see this candle right here. Yes, they can. Okay, but it's not happening yet. Okay, so there's SMH. Let's take a look at the economic calendar. All right, so we can get through this quickly, hopefully. All right, so Max Payne for today. Here it is, Max Payne 29. This is for SPY options. They expire today. Okay, Max Payne is 541 with about 1.5 puts to each call. So not much of a put squeeze there. All right, so there's Max Payne. Let's take a look at the dollar. Dollar still in a downtrend. See the lower high. See there's the high. Lower high, lower low. See that? Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Breaking major support down here like that. Like to see us consolidate underneath here and then move down. All right, so there's the dollar in a downtrend. We like that. All right, for the economic calendar, got a lot of stuff coming on this week. All right, tomorrow we got GDP. Let's just start with today. International trading goods, 8:30. Retail inventories, 8:30. Wholesale inventories, 8:30. Case-Shiller Home Price Index, 9. Another Home Price Index, 9. Consumer Confidence, 10. Jolts at 10. Tomorrow, main event. Actually, we got two main events. We got the employment situation on Friday, all right, and we got GDP tomorrow at 8:30. ADP employment report, 8:15. GDP, 8:30. Treasury reloading, I'll just call it reloading. Refunding announcement, 8:30. Employment cost index, 8:30. Chicago PMI, 945. Personal income and outlays. Usually that's on Friday. 10 o'clock on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. Pending home sales index. Okay, this was home price. This is home sales, 10 o'clock. Petroleum report, 10:30. All right, on Thursday. What do we got? Challenger job cut report. A lot of employment numbers coming out this week. Okay, ADP coming out tomorrow. Challenger job cut, 7:30 on Thursday. And then employment situation, that's going to be a big event, 8:30. Should be, could be, we'll see. Jobless claims, 8:30 on Thursday. PMI manufacturing, 945. ISM manufacturing, 10. Construction spending, 10. Natural gas, 10:30. We'll hit Friday when we get closer to it. And let's take a look at the earnings calendar. We'll start out with today. All right, this morning we got Coca-Cola. That's $309 billion. All right, they're not going to really move the markets. Nothing like Amazon, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Google, all of them, they're more capable of moving the markets, okay? Visa, all right, 622 billion, they report tonight. Coca-Cola this morning, 309 billion. Also tonight, Novartis, 221 billion. This morning, AstraZeneca, 215 billion. HSBC is still looking for the P&L. Booking Holdings, 158 billion. That's tonight. All right, Pfizer, all right, we haven't seen them. They haven't had a good day in a long time, all right? 129 billion. Maybe tonight's the night, or this morning's the morning. We'll see. S&P Global, 147 billion. Pfizer, 129 billion. Honeywell, normally that's tech. They should have been reporting in the evening. Honeywell, 129. I guess they're going to call it retail sales. 129 billion, that's this morning. Spotify, that should have been tech too. 126 billion. That's going to report this morning. So we got a little bit of tech reporting this morning. Spotify, Honeywell, and that's it right there. Let's check out page 2. In American Tower, that's it. Okay, so that's it for today. Wednesday. All right, Microsoft's going to report. They're about $3 trillion, okay? That's a big number, all right? They're capable of moving the markets. Tech, they're going to report tomorrow evening. Meta, I'm just going to call it 1.3, all right? Really $1.4 trillion. Trillion, all right? It's a big number. They're going to report tomorrow night alongside Microsoft. Qualcomm, nothing nearly close, but still big. 164 billion. Qualcomm reports tomorrow night. Caterpillar, 146 billion. They're going to report tomorrow morning. Total Energies, 132 billion tomorrow morning. ADP, all right, 118 billion. They're going to report tomorrow morning. Banco Santander, 118 billion tomorrow morning. And some familiar names you see at CLAC, UBS, Equinix. All right, nothing that's going to move the markets, but they're still big numbers right there, okay? On Thursday, Apple, $3 trillion, okay? If we didn't get enough market cap reporting on Wednesday, we're going to get even more on Thursday, okay? We're going to have $3 trillion reporting from Apple, $2 trillion reporting from Amazon. Eli Lilly, they're going to report in the evening on Thursday. And on Thursday evening, Eli Lilly, no small number there, $838 billion. The drug companies are doing well. I'm just going to say it. MasterCard, $486 billion. All right, tomorrow, Thursday morning. McDonald's, $226 billion. Thursday morning. Lindy, $212 billion. Thursday morning. Shell Oil, still looking for the P&L. Amgen, Thursday night, $150 billion. Stryker Corporation, $139 billion. They're going to report in the evening alongside the big tech right there. Mercado Libre, $112 billion. They're going to report. They're still looking for the P&L. Page 2, KKR, $100 billion. And Southern Company, $100 billion. All right, in the morning on Thursday. All right, we'll hit Friday when we get closer. Friday's Berkshire, they never report on time. Okay, I don't know what it is about them, but they do report. Okay, and that's a big number. It's about $2 trillion there for Friday. So big week this week for earnings. All right, so that's it for me for today. All right, I'll take questions in the room. If not, I'm going to render my video, get it posted for everybody. Thank you for bearing with me.